August the 20th, 2019, T Grizzley had been at a studio in Detroit recording new music before leaving. Shortly before 9 p.m, T, JB, and their driver would arrive at a location on 3 Mile Drive, just off of Mack Avenue where T's cousin lived. According to T, he would beg JB to come inside the house, knowing how dangerous the streets of Detroit can be, but she would refuse, claiming that the house was too dirty for her, as she was apparently a germaphobe with very high standards of cleanliness. T would then, according to himself, go on the side porch alone and ring the bell, but it was taking a long time for anyone to open the door. And when the door was finally opened, he would suddenly hear shots going off behind him, making him hit the ground, as he was thinking that the shooter was about to come his way next, and he didn't have anything to protect himself with. At the same moment, T's cousin would run out with a gun, causing T to get up too and run towards the shooting. But when they got to the street, T's car was already gone, as was the shooter. This was because immediately after the shooting began, the driver would take off, driving to a nearby gas station next to the intersection of Buckingham and Mack Avenue. Here he would stop and try and get help after discovering the person in the back seat, Jubina Brown, had been shot during the incident multiple times, and she would unfortunately later pass away in hospital. The driver would give his account of events to police, explaining how an unknown shooter had opened the left side rear passenger door before opening fire, shooting Jubina multiple times, at which point he drove off and then called 911, stopping at a gas station where police and medics would ultimately find them. But interestingly, while T had been with JB right before the shooting, for whatever reason, the person who would actually end up identifying her body after she would pass away at the hospital would be the rapper Sada Baby, who had become extremely close with JB after she had also begun to manage his music career.
Now, we're not going to talk about the T Grizzley situation at all.
We ain't got to.
But I do want to say, his aunt was actually your manager at one point.
That's my baby.
How did you feel when she got killed?
Same way I feel now.
That was sad, man.
It's past sad.
Yeah.
I had to identify a body.
Really?
Yeah, man, because, yeah, I had to.
Because you were just the first person they called at the time, or?
I was the closest to kin that was at the hospital.
Oh, because you're related to her? No?
No, I just was the closest to kin at the hospital.
Closest to kin.
We'll discuss Sada Baby's feelings about the incident later, but for now, the rest of Detroit would receive the news of this tragic situation, hitting the most prominent gangster rapper in the city. The following day, the news of JB's murder would surface online, as TMZ would break the story, followed by numerous other outlets, particularly the local Detroit News.
Also, shots fired into an SUV, killing the manager and family member of a popular Detroit rapper. Off the top tonight at 11, investigators trying to determine if rapper T Grizzley was actually the intended target.
He was with his aunt when those shots were fired on Detroit's east side. Jermont Terry is live tonight. Jermont, was the rapper hurt at all?
Kimberly, tonight we know the Detroit rapper was one of 3 people inside that car when the shots went off. Now, when they're in that shooting, the rapper's aunt died, but he was not injured. Detroit police responded to the area of 3 Mile Drive just off Mack Tuesday night on the city's east side. They were out to collect evidence of multiple bullet casings regarding the deadly shooting here. It turns out someone opened fire on a black Chrysler with 3 people inside. Among those inside the vehicle, Detroit rapper T Grizzley. Police don't know if the rapper was the intended target or not, but what's clear, his aunt, who worked as his manager, along with another young man, were all in the vehicle Tuesday night. That's when someone intentionally shot the vehicle, killing the 41-year-old manager.
There were no immediate arrests following the shooting, while the people who had been close to JB would give interviews to the local media, talking about how much of a kind person she was.
Well, Glenda, Detroit police tell me that homicide investigators are still working on this case, still trying to figure out what led up to the shooting here on 3 Mile Road just off of Mack. Meanwhile, those who knew Brown say she was kind-hearted and a hard worker.
She was a sweetheart. She was a good person. She was the type of person that would look out for you, do whatever, she could to help you.
Bushman, host of The Bushman Show on 97.9 WJLB, first got to know Jubina Brown 3 years ago. He called her JB. She was the manager and aunt of Detroit rapper T Grizzley. She also managed Detroit rapper Sada Baby.
T Grizzley would also mourn the loss of JB on social media, calling her an angel, while saying that he knows that JB will always be with him, just like she always used to be. Immediately following JB's murder, speculation on who was responsible flooded the internet. Some rumors claimed that 24 or 42 Gutter had some kind of involvement due to T's new signing, Sada Baby, having connections to a local gang war. Others claimed the person responsible was someone from NBA Youngboy's crew. Some members from the gang STL-EBT in Chicago would even make posts claiming to be smoking on T Grizzly's aunt, likely the result of T Grizzly deciding to diss Lil Durk's ops from Chicago after becoming friendly with him and collaborating. Some fans and the media even compared Jabina Brown's death to Nipsey Hussle's tragic slaying, suggesting that both were victims of murderous jealousy, suggesting that all the success that T Grizzly was having had made his old enemies in the streets jealous. The next month, T would end up releasing a heartfelt tribute track dedicated to JB called Satish, which was her middle name. The song came with a moving cover art that depicted T and his fallen aunt as grizzly bears. T would immediately start the song with a line that in hindsight seemed like an attempt to get ahead of any rumors, rapping that he and JB were so close that people thought they were lovers. He imagined alternative outcomes, saying if he'd been outside with JB, he would have protected her. T also confidently claimed that he had been the target of the shooting and that JB had simply become a casualty because she'd been with him at the time. He would suggest the shooting was a result of envy and jealousy, and he also rapped about actively looking for revenge and putting up $1 million bounty on whoever did this, saying he didn't care if it was the mayor of Detroit himself. Even more interestingly, he alleged that the cops had already found a murder weapon. At the time, this was received as a devastatingly heartfelt tribute from a grieving nephew to the aunt and manager who saved and believed in him, a powerful expression of his real loss. Commenters on Reddit's Hip Hop Head subreddit praised the song and T Grizzly's approach, with some commenting how you could feel the genuine pain and sadness in the track. Others called it his best song and claimed that the track earned T Grizzly some new fans who hadn't heard of him before this tragic accident. The lyrics were so believable that T's public declarations of Get Back even raised alarm amongst the community, sparking a call to end the violence on local Detroit news.
A new music video by Detroit rapper T Grizzly reveals he fears for his own life after the murder of his aunt last month. But there's talk of a bounty on the head of her killer, and it seems to promote a vicious cycle. 7 Action News reporter Rudy Harper is live tonight with the call of an activist to end the violence. Rudy, explain.
And Carolyn, there are strong emotions in this song by the Billboard artist. For the first time, he's expressing his feelings, even rapping he fears for his own life. Dr. Kim Logan Nolan, a family counselor, reacting tonight to the rapper's lyrics, which seemingly encourages violence, including a bounty on the head of his aunt's killer.
Rudy, we want to redirect the anger, redirect the pain.
Dr. Logan Nolan says she's had firsthand experience de-escalating gun violence in the hip-hop community.
I had opportunity to counsel a young rapper, and he lost a loved one through gunfire. And I said, what would bring honor to your loved one? Let's redirect the lyrics to something positive and productive.
However, looking back at these lyrics now, it's almost strange how suspiciously confident T Grizzly is about some of the details and motivations behind this murder, as well as being slightly eyebrow-raising at just how openly he was willing to admit that he was planning to put up money to have the people that did it killed. A strange move if you really were trying to plan a revenge murder in the streets. But regardless, behind the scenes, the police were seemingly hard at work. And despite T Grizzly rapping on the song, released in September, that the police had a murder weapon, it wouldn't be until October the 19th, 2019, around 2 months after the incident and 1 month after the song, that police would arrest a man in possession of a gun and a stolen rental car that they eventually linked to the crime scene. But the story behind that gun would turn out to be much darker than anyone could have expected, as the gun and vehicle weren't in Detroit, they were seized 280 miles away in Chicago, and tied to a man named Jermaine Wu-Thang Whedon, a known affiliate of Chicago's violent and notorious 600 gang. Just 3 months after JB's murder, and 1 month after Wu-Thang's arrest, T Grizzly would then sit down for an unexpected interview with WJLB's Big Dog Blast. Looking back at this interview now, it's frankly crazy, as throughout the entire interview, T was distractedly playing Call of Duty while casually recounting the tragedy of his aunt's death with a chilling detachment, with T at one point suggesting that gaming is like therapy for him.
Let me capture that right quick. I'm capturing 8 rounds. Okay, boom, that's a capture. I'm about to kill.
This keep you up all night?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Is this like some therapy for you?
It is though. It keep your mind. It keep my mind at ease.
He would reveal that he had already moved on professionally, traveling to London to work with a new manager just months after losing the woman who believed in him when no one else did.
You was over in London for a while. Was that where you were?
Yeah.
What was happening over there? Was that just to get away? Were you working over there? A little bit of both?
Yeah, a little bit of both for real.
Okay.
A little bit of both. I was over there working. I was over there working, and that's where my manager, my new manager, that's where he's from.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we opening up a studio over there in the clothing store.
Oh, okay.
T reflected on JB's pivotal role in his career, how she quit her stable job to manage him full-time, pouring belief and her own money into his music when few others would be willing to take such a risk.
She quit her job to start managing me.
Yeah. Did you, when she said she wanted to do that, did you try to talk her out of it?
No, hell no, I ain't trying to talk her out of it. Because she already had money, so she was already straight for real.
Okay.
And I really needed that. And I saw that she was the only one that really believed. She was the only one I could trust for real. You know what I'm saying? So I was all for it.
Okay.
T would be asked to recount the events of the night that JB was murdered, and he would go on to give a strangely casual account of that night, barely taking his eyes off the game of Call of Duty that he was playing. According to T, after leaving the studio on the night of the shooting, they headed to his older cousin's house.
So the night everything happened, man, can you kind of go over that night with us? I know y'all was at the studio. I seen you on your Instagram.
Yeah, so we was at the studio with Guapo and Jay Swan or whatever. And I'm going over my cousin's house, my older cousin.
Mm-hmm.
He was real close with my pops, just like my pop's brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I always try to, you know what I'm saying, show him some love because that's another wound we really ain't healed from.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I went over there.
T would claim that he begged JB to come into the house with them, as well as inferring that this was in a dangerous area. But apparently, JB was a germaphobe who had a thing about not going into dirty houses and decided to wait in the car.
And I was telling her, like, come in the house. And she like, no, I don't want to go in. I'm begging her to come in the house.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, certain areas, you just can't, you just got to move right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't about where you at. I could go anywhere I want to.
Right.
But I got to move right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I'm moving right, can't nothing happen to me. So I'm telling her to come in the house. She like, no. Because JB was kind of like funny acting about dirty houses.
Okay.
And stuff like that. The house wasn't even dirty, but to her, she just a clean, real clean person.
Okay.
It's like, no, I don't want to go in them people's house. I don't want to sit on their furniture and all that stuff in there. I'm like, all right, I'll be right back.
Apparently, as he was knocking on the side door of the house, the gunfire erupted behind him.
My people's taking so long to come to the door. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And they finally come to the door. As soon as I see her, as soon as I see my auntie,
Mm-hmm.
she about to open the door. I just hear a whole bunch of shots going off. You know what I'm saying?
Behind you.
Behind me, I hear a whole bunch of shots going off.
So, unarmed, T dropped to the ground while his cousin sprinted out armed, and he claimed that they ran towards the gunfire, but the shooters had already fled.
So I get down because I'm thinking they about to come to the side and start, you know what I'm saying, shooting at me, and I ain't got nothing on me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
My cousin ran out with a gun. I'm like, perfect. So we ran out on the street. When we ran out, my driver was gone with no cars out there. I'm like,
She was in the. So what was the vehicle? She was in the car, like
yeah,
she was in the driveway on the street.
She was in the car.
Okay.
She was in the car on the street. So my cousin ran out with the gun or whatever, and we ran out in the front to see what's going on and to, if somebody up on us, we gonna get them off us. So once we got outside, once we got in the front where they was at, my driver gone. There's no cars out here.
Mm-hmm.
T would claim to be confused at this point and said because he saw no glass in the street, it could have been an unrelated incident where nobody was hurt, and he said that he was actually mad that they fled without him.
I don't even know what's going on at this point.
Okay.
So we in the front, I look in the street. I don't see no glass in the street, so I'm like, oh, they straight. You know what I'm saying? That's probably some, I didn't even think this had nothing to do with us.
Okay.
You feel me?
Right.
But my cousin still came out there with the gun, though.
Mm-hmm.
So I was cool with going out there. I'm like, I ain't see no glass in the street. I'm thinking they heard some shots and pulled off.
Okay.
So now I'm mad now. Like, y'all heard them shots, why would y'all leave me over here?
Right.
You feel me? You could at least call me.
After this, T would be incredibly specific, claiming that his driver called him back to tell him that the shooter specifically opened his door to shoot at where T had been sitting earlier and still decided to shoot JB regardless.
You know what I'm saying? That my driver ended up calling me like, and told me what happened. So basically what happened, they walked up to my door and opened my door. You know what I'm saying? So opened my door, trying to get at me. Ended up hitting her up.
Where'd they hit her on the body?
They hit her on her side and in her arm. She didn't get hit in her head or her face, and just all on her side.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me?
How many
on
times?
The side where her heart at.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, on the side like where her heart at too. So that's fucked up.
Now, I thought it was interesting how T specifically said she didn't get hit in her face or nothing. Now, I could be reading too much into this, but it's almost like he's saying that he has some respect for the shooter for not shooting her in her face, as if it was somehow a respectable, professional killing.
They hit her on her side and in her arm. She didn't get hit in her head or her face, and just all on her side. You feel me?
Interestingly, T would point out that the shooters had actually hit her in the same spot where she'd been shot in a prior incident under eerily similar circumstances, revealing that she actually survived that incident because she went straight to the hospital.
She got shot like that before a long time ago with my uncle.
Okay.
His car got shot up, and she got hit in the exact same place, but she lived. You know what I'm saying? Because she went straight to the hospital.
Okay.
My uncle drove straight to the hospital as soon as it happened.
T would go on to reveal that paramedics rush her to the hospital from the scene rather than the driver, and even more interesting, he claimed that JB called him from the ambulance, but she couldn't get any words out, with T still distracted by the video game, showing no emotion, and repeating that they for certain were targeting him.
Was she alive when did she die on the scene or the hospital?
I think that, no, she died at the hospital. She was still alive. She was still breathing and everything. She called me.
She called you?
While she was shot, she called me.
What'd she say?
I was trying to talk to her. I didn't hear what she was saying.
Oh.
She couldn't really form no words. You know what I'm saying? But, like, coming for me because they opened my door and was shooting in the car. They hit her 8 times, though.
This is honestly a bizarre interview, and when you compare it to other interviews of people recounting traumatic losses of their friends and family, it's really strange. I mean, just look at how different Sada Baby's reaction and body language is when talking about the same incident a whole year later to Vlad TV. She was his manager and friend too, and he seems genuinely hurt even having to think about this incident.
His aunt was actually your manager at one point.
That's my baby.
How did you feel when she got killed?
Same way I feel now. It's fucked up.
That was sad, man.
It's past sad.
I feel like it just prepped me for this. You know what I'm saying? Still hurt though. I ain't gonna say it don't hurt at all. You feel me? Because when JB first died, I was in a real dark place.
I can imagine.
You know what I'm saying?
They just me up and me up bad. I just asked her what she did. I asked her what she did twice. We gave her a kiss and left.
No, she died at the hospital. She was still alive. She was still breathing and everything. She called me.
She called you?
While she was shot, she called me.
Well, I'm sorry, man. That's a tough situation to go through.
I appreciate that, but
yeah,
no bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I've had death in my life as well.
Yeah, that's one of them strong ones. You know, it's funerals and it's motherfuckers you love that pass, and you know what I'm saying, you cry and all that type of shit. But then there's people that die that and it hurt. You know what I'm saying? When her dying, it hurt. You feel me? It hurt me bad. So, you know, that's the I think about her a lot.
Of course, revenge was in my head. My people was telling me like that'd be emotional.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can't just act on it. You know what I'm saying? Let the police handle it. So I just let the police handle it.
Big Dog Blast would ask T Grizzley if he had any idea where the hit came from, and T would deny having any knowledge or suspects in mind. But to me, he's strangely talkative. Like, usually when asked something like this, where your homie has been killed and you're plotting your revenge, you would stick to the street code and not talk at all. But weirdly, T is uncharacteristically talkative and claimed that everyone around him was a suspect.
And you have no idea where this came from?
No, I ain't got no idea where it came from, but it ain't even matter where it came from. I felt like everybody was a suspect. I felt like everybody was a suspect. So even if a person wasn't a suspect, if I didn't like that person, it was escalated. My dislike for them was escalated times 10. So yeah, everybody was guilty around that time.
Man.
This just seems incredibly awkward and a little too talkative. And once again, when you compare this to Sada Baby, who when asked by Vlad TV if he knows who did it, he doesn't say a word.
What was the situation around her death? It was a shooting, or?
You can't do that one.
Can't do that one? Okay.
Yeah, because that case open, man.
That case is open. Okay, and they haven't solved it yet, so. Okay, I got you. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it ain't no biggie. I don't got no problem with talking about my auntie, you feel me? But once they done with it, you feel me, I'll be the first to talk about whatever my talk about.
T would go on to say revenge was on his mind, but then in a complete 180 from his lyrics on Satish, where he promised to kill those responsible and put money on their heads, T claimed that he had taken advice from his family and left things to the police. An interesting statement when you remember that Wu-Thang had actually been arrested a month before this.
My people was telling me like that'd be emotional.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can't just act on it. You know what I'm saying? Let the police handle it. So I just let the police handle it.
Once again, T would say with suspicious confidence that the shooting was targeting him and that his family had rightfully blamed him for the murder.
Family-wise, was anybody blaming you?
Yeah, they blamed me because they feel like it should have been me. And it should have been because it was for me. You feel me? So I ain't mad at them for blaming me. If my little brother was in a car with somebody or somebody who I really love and my little brother get killed behind somebody else, I'm going to feel like you guilty. So I'm going to feel like you did it.
Right.
It's your fault.
Big Dog Blast would prod further, asking T if he actually has serious street beef out here. Now, interestingly, as we've already covered his gang ties in this video, he clearly does have street ties. But it seemed more like he was part of a criminal gang who were more focused on robberies than murdering their ops, like the Chicago gangsters tend to do. So while T could have easily said his street ties are for real, he elaborated, saying that he doesn't have beef like that, and that people just envy him and want him dead for his success. A believable but slightly far-fetched claim in comparison to the narrative that there could have been a rival gang that wanted to take him out, with T saying specifically he knows the people who did it but doesn't have any beef with them personally, and they simply killed his aunt over jealousy. A reach, in my opinion.
So is it beef? Do you having a lot of beef out here?
I ain't got no beef out here. They just don't like me.
Why you think?
Why would they?
Why you think? Well, I mean, what? You haven't done anything? Is it your success? Is it something from your past?
So don't nobody really know me personally. I don't know none of these personally. So you can't have no personal problem with me. You feel me? So what other reason is it to not like me besides what I got going on? That's just the way I feel about it.
Interestingly, T would continue trying to spin this narrative, suggesting that he's never even spoken to the people who did it, but he knows them. Then going on to contradict that, saying that the people who want him dead are mad because he's no longer in their life.
Like you see how we kicking it right now?
Yeah.
Most of the people that don't like me, we ain't even had this. You see what I'm saying? And I'm gonna tell you, go ahead. And if we did have this type of relationship where I was kicking it with them and they don't like me, it's because they did some and I don't fuck with them no more. And for me to not fuck with you no more, that mean a lot, because you're not gonna find another like me. You will never find it again. 5,000 years ago by, there'll never be another person like me. And I ain't even talking about just what I got, I'm just talking about like my heart.
The type of person you are.
You feel me?
Now at this point, Big Dog Blast would infer that perhaps T Grizzly's history of robbing people could have been the reason that he was targeted. And ironically, T Grizzly kind of rejects this notion, and then suddenly seems to open up, saying that his own family left him for dead in prison.
I've heard things, people, of course, when people know you from your past, they want to bring that up.
Yeah.
And
what you heard about my past?
just the things that you've done, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, everybody got a past.
Yeah.
So when you start making the people going to say like, well, I remember this, he was doing that, or he ain't doing for his family and whatnot.
Yeah.
And when I tell them, I say, well, you know what, man, the conversation
when people get to talking about this family, you got to understand what I believe in.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? Like a lot of my family members, like I was locked up for 3 years and some change.
Okay.
A lot of my family members, I forgot how their voices sound because they wasn't with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And they knew exactly where I was at. And I was 10 minutes away from the city, so they could have came and saw me. A stamp cost 20 cents. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker get high, all this other type of shit. Left me for dead. And then when I came home, I was even willing to forgive them when I came home. I almost be like, all right, bet. Just help me, you know what I'm saying, take off with this rap shit. They ain't even believe in me. Ain't want to me on that. I'm like, all right, bet. I mean, how many chances you got to give a grown motherfucker?
From here, we'd see another interesting tidbit as Blast asks T how his mother is doing, and surprisingly, he says she's doing great.
How your mom doing?
My mom doing great. I got a video visit with her tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Next, Blast asked T if his mother had a good relationship with JB, with T saying they was alright, but to me, it sounds like perhaps there was actually some animosity between the two, as T didn't seem to mention his mother being hurt by the murder of JB 2 months prior, nor did he say they had a good relationship.
Was your mom cool with JB?
They was alright.
Okay.
T goes on to suggest that they actually had a bad relationship when JB stopped messing with T's uncle, who was his mother's brother, and he actually ends up saying something chilling here by accident, that your husband's sister is there for you, so if the relationship ends, they aren't going to be around anymore.
It was right, because that was my uncle's wife.
Okay. Which was your mom's brother?
Yeah.
Okay.
My sister ain't going to be the best of friends with my wife.
Right.
At the end of the day, she only there for you.
Right.
And if y'all stop with each other, she ain't gonna be around no more.
Blast would then prod further, asking why T is so cool with JB if she stopped messing with his uncle, with T revealing that she had a house in the suburbs and that he'd spent a lot of nights there, eventually moving in.
But how did y'all stay cool, you and JB?
Because, JB always had a house in the burbs. And
okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I had spent the night over there one time. And it was just a different world for me, coming from where I come from, so I always wanted to be over there.
Okay.
So she always let me spend the night. I'd be babysitting my little cousins.
Okay.
And this, like, the weekend turned into months turned into years, and then I just started living over there.
Okay.
And just going back to my hood on the weekends.
Got you.
I'm on this going crazy.
Blast would then ask how T is holding up, sort of inferring that he doesn't seem very emotionally disturbed by these events, with T brushing it off and claiming that he went through so much when he was younger that he was just prepared for things like this.
It's been rough for you, man. You know, your mom in jail, your dad gone. Now, JB, how's your belief, like your faith, and where you at right now?
I feel like I went through a lot of shit when I was younger to prep me for this.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a real abusive household,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of crackheads, a lot of alcoholics. You know what I'm saying? I was selling drugs and doing shit in elementary school,
mm-hmm.
and that was normal to me. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of shit that was around me in my upbringing,
mm-hmm.
I feel like it just prepped me for this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Still hurt though. I ain't gonna say it don't hurt at all.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? Because when JB first died, I was in a real dark place.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine.
You know what I'm saying? And once my pops got killed, I feel like that was the worst thing that could possibly happen to me.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So basically, it's just like, still hurt, but I was already built for it.
Damn.
Before I even knew I was built for it.
Blast would then continue pushing the issue, going as far as to ask T if he dreams about JB, with T saying instantly that he had one dream about her and that he tries not to think about her.
You dream about JB a lot, man?
I only had one dream about her.
Mm-hmm.
I only had one dream about her. I really don't even want to have no dreams about her though.
Right.
That ain't no healthy dream for me. I don't want to wake up thinking about that.
Right.
I don't even want to have no dream about this.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's like I don't want to have a dream. Okay, I don't want to have a dream about having $1 billion because when I wake up, it's gonna be gone.
Right.
That's equivalent.
Everybody tell you got $1 billion right now.
That's equivalent to that though. I don't want to wake up and I got something. Then I don't want to go to sleep and I got something. Then when I wake up, it's gone.
Right. I totally understand that. Totally understand.
Now this interview was honestly bizarre, and it raised more questions than it gave answers. And many people in the comments pointed out inaccuracies and inconsistencies with the story, like why the driver fled the scene but then didn't take JB to the hospital. Some suggested that he had gone to London after the murder to stay out the way and let the heat from the murder die down. Others pointed out how suspicious it was that T was so sure that they were coming to kill him, and many thought that it was disingenuous of T Grizzley to discuss such a serious event while gaming. Others pointed out that if T Grizzley was moving correctly like he said he did, why didn't he call ahead and make sure that everyone was prepared for his arrival in the house? Some questioned how he could be so casual when talking about this tragedy that occurred just months earlier. Many people plain believed that from this, he was responsible for the murder. But interestingly, despite Wu-Thang being locked up a month before this interview, to his credit, it was unclear what the charges were at this point. And to the general public, the murder of Jabina Brown remained unsolved for over 6 years. However, behind the scenes, the first breakthrough in the case came only 2 months after this interview in February 2020, when new evidence emerged that pointed to a suspect. Ballistics would trace the gun seized from Jermaine Weedon during his October 2019 Chicago arrest directly to shell casings recovered at Jabina Brown's murder scene. Now, Jermaine is no stranger to the Chicago police, owning an impressive mugshot gallery from arrests that go back more than a decade at this point. But to most viewers of this video, this name or face likely doesn't ring many bells. However, Jermaine Weedon isn't just anyone. He's better known in the streets of Chicago as Wu-Thang, who is affiliated with one of the most infamous gangs in the Chicago drill history, the 600 Gang, whose deadly rise and fall I have previously covered in excruciating detail in a 6-hour deep dive video called 600 The Killer Rappers Who Terrorized Chicago. Now, as Redditors like to point out, Wu-Thang is technically a member of a set known as Duke Squad or DSG or Duke Squad Goons, who claim a neighboring territory to 600. But these sets have been very close since the beginning, and for years, Wu-Thang has been closely associated with 600, as can be seen from photos, music videos, and interviews going back all the way to the early and mid-2010s. In 2016, a Say Cheese interview with 600 Breezy would introduce Wu-Thang as an elite and original Day One member.
Real elite, you feel me? Original Day One, you know what I'm saying? You know, we really in the hood.
So, before the sentencing, did they think they was going to get away or get off with what happened?
Yeah, bro.
Wu-Thang was a serious member. Throwback videos showed him sliding with another notorious killer from 600 named Bite Down, with them sliding through the streets of Chicago guns in hand. Commenters claimed that both Wu-Thang and Bite Down had numerous bodies to their names, with Wu-Thang also allegedly being part of the infamous Get Back Gang alliance between O-Block and 600, which was formed in 2017 to avenge the death of one of O-Block's most notorious members and King Von's best friend, T-Roy, with one member of 600 even claiming that T-Roy's brother HK, who is commonly alleged to have been one of the Get Back Gang's biggest shooters, together with Wu-Thang, were both key members in this revenge-fueled gang alliance. But besides DSG and 600, Wu-Thang is often also considered to be at least somewhat affiliated with Lil Durk's OTF crew, this affiliation likely becoming particularly strong in the years leading up to the murder of JB, when the rapper Booker 600 would first become heavily affiliated with OTF around 2017 and 18, which was followed by 2 more 600 rappers, Mimo and Just Blow, signing to the OTF label in early 2019.
2 more to the family, hey, big bag alert, major bag alert, and none of that cap. folks know. Been part of the film though, man, you know? Stupid. We must have it.
We shut down Saks in Atlanta for this. Lights off there. No. Know what time it is.
Yeah. Time to turn up, bitch.
Following these signings, in Wu-Tang's Instagram highlights, he can be seen rocking the OTF signature chain in numerous photos and videos around September and October 2019. This time period interestingly falls exactly between the murder of JB in August and Wu-Tang's arrest in late October.
Yeah, you did. You say that, brother.
Now, this timing may very well be a pure coincidence, but what hardly seems like a coincidence is the fact that 600, OTF, and their other Chicago affiliates have a personal connection to T Grizzley that goes back close to a decade at this point. T's connection with Chicago gangs seemingly begun as he would become close with the 600 member Tay 600, aka Tay Capone, around 2017, with both of them having released their own First Day Out songs around the same time after getting out of prison. But Tay wasn't the only one from Chicago that T would associate with, and he could also be seen hanging out in the infamous O Block projects together with rappers Lil Reese, who's from the nearby Lamron set, as well as the rapper Booker 600, who's actually Tay 600's cousin, and as mentioned, a longtime affiliate of Lil Durk's OTF crew.
Tell my dog he gotta start getting back on that, man. Go follow him. Yeah. Tell my get well soon, man. Yeah.
Doc said gang 10 minutes on me. Gang.
Oh, we out here, big O gang. Big O gang.
This meetup would take place after the lyrics would come out that saw T Grizzley dissing one of the most famous rivals of 600, O Block, and Lamron, the late rapper Lil Jojo, who was killed in 2012, not long after releasing a scathing diss track BDK targeting all of the black disciples of Chicago, with T Grizzley in a leaked version of his No Effort song, both shouting out Lil Durk and basically telling his rivals that if they get out of pocket, he's gonna make them join Jojo. This track would elicit various responses from Chicago rappers like FBG Duck,
some clout.
And according to Tay Capone, the responses had T Grizzley worried enough to call and ask about what he should do.
He asked me about Swag De Niro, asked me about P. Rico, asking me about King Yella and all these rappers that's like tweaking with him about this and JoJo, and he like, man, bro, what you think? Like you know, I'm on my way out there. Like what you think? Like will come from this situation? Like he was really worried about this. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I told him, I said, bro, like me, I'm a real bro. Like I don't even diss my own ops in my songs. I been stopped that 3 years ago.
The dissing even resulted in his Chicago show being cancelled due to threats of violence. However, T would seemingly still make it to the city, with Lil Durk and Lil Reese making sure that he was good in Chicago. During these early days, T Grizzley would form a special bond with Booker 600, who would even later credit T for saving his life during an interview with On The Radar Radio, telling that T had helped him when he was struggling in poverty.
You know, obviously T Grizzley was a big part of this project, and you wrote that, you know, he saved your life without even being there. What did you mean by that?
Yeah. I say T play a big part of like me and my brothers just when we was down and out, like in poverty, in the trenches and shit. So T was a big part of helping us like to where we at today. You feel me? So he like, you know, he helped us get to where we are today for real, like big, like personally, not just business wise, not just, you know, shouting our songs out of none, like way deeper, more like family. So yeah.
In 2018, T Grizzley even hinted towards having been involved in shootouts alongside 600 members, rapping on his song Still My Moment, shout out to 600, we ain't gonna talk about that one night, if we strapped and they strapped, it's a gunfight. But T would also reportedly take both Booker as well as another 600 member McAdoo with him touring all over the country, with McAdoo, who would unfortunately get wrapped up in a double murder case not long after this, later telling the YouTuber DJ U from behind bars that he still had a lot of respect for T for taking him along to experience the tour life.
Hey, you hear me? On my brother Gray, look, and this is the big shout out right here. Shout out to T Grizzley and my dear brother. That's my real big bro, my dear brother.
Word. T Grizzley.
He's stupid. He's stupid lit on my dear brother. Shout him out.
Shout out to T Grizzley.
I can't forget about no like him. That you hear me? Hell yeah, I can't forget about like him. That's the den of man. Look, shout him out, man, on Listening, man.
Tell us about y'all relationship. You know, we ain't know you was in tune with.
You feel me? That's a good man. He showed me a lot of good stuff in his rap, in his rapping. You feel me? He took me to some places I've never seen before. You feel me? On Listening on his rapping side, you know. Still on the twin, you know.
Wow.
So that shout him out on that side. You know, he a good rapper on Lil C Gray. I put him hard.
Throughout the years, Booker and T Grizzley's friendship has only grown stronger, with the two commonly popping up together, from live performances to dropping songs and making cameos on each other's music videos as well as on social media.
Hey, why the f I'm putting my pants on for? Why my shit stuck on my wrist while I'm trying to move the refrigerator from the back of the couch, man?
Huh?
During T Grizzley's wedding in 2023, Booker would even play the role of groomsman, showing that the connection between these two went far beyond just the industry. But as many fans of T Grizzley are well aware, he also has a very strong connection with the guy responsible for Booker's career, Lil Durk. With Booker, according to Durk, actually having been the person who would introduce him to T Grizzley personally.
When I first met T Grizzley, he met my little brother named Booker, and they was already rocking. They was like, I'm gonna bring T Grizzley to the crib. I'm like, let's get it. We get in the studio. And when he first came, we had a conversation for like 2 hours. We just talking. I'm like, damn, I really with him, you know?
The friendship between T and Durk would also become very close very quickly, leading to their December 2017 release of a joint mixtape called Blooders. And the two have been sticking together ever since, often showing up with each other in real life and on social media, while also regularly releasing new music. But sadly, this friendship would actually end up ruining the relationship between T and his original Chicago contact Tay 600, as Tay had famously begun beefing with Lil Durk after the rumors of him snitching in the case against fellow 600 rappers Rondo No. 9 and C-Day would go viral, and the two had been going back and forth on tracks too, as well as on social media, where Tay would even claim that Durk was hating on him because he had been messing with the mother of his child before. Tay would also claim to the YouTuber 16 Shot 'em that T Grizzley had told him that he would never mess with some of the people on OTF after Tay had told him about his snitching allegations and the dissing against him that had been going on.
I mentioned the names of that was sneak this and trying to put it on me, and I told him the exact group of and you know everything. Like I just told him everything, you know, and he like literally like, bro, T Grizzley was telling me like, man, you gonna be the only from Chicago I f with, and yeah, tried to do that on my case too, but at the end of the day, this, that, and the third, like they can't get away from real and, you know, like he just had right responses at the time. I asked him about some of the TB he with right now from OTF. I spoke on them, right, and he was like, yeah, oh yeah, I never f with dude, and like real talk, like.
But nevertheless, T would seemingly choose his side and stick with 600 and Durk's OTF. While these two sets would also come together to essentially form one supercrew during the late 2010s and early 2020s, this interestingly also taking place right around the time of JB's murder. However, besides Booker, there are only two people directly affiliated with 600 that T Grizzley still follows on Instagram, one of these being Young Famous, one of the original older members of the set, while the other one, interestingly, being none other than Wu-Thang himself. Even more interestingly, on the 25th of September 2019, about a month after JB's murder, these exact two people, Young Famous and Wu-Thang, could be seen together in a Facebook post by Young Famous together with Memo 600, along with a caption that now seems rather ominous given the timing, saying stuff get wild, you kill a N-word, we bury and shovel together. Heart, footprint emojis, fist bumps, hashtag 6brothers forever. However, as we'll discuss next, there would be much more than just social media posts connecting Wu-Thang to the murder of JB. In March 2020, a month after Wu-Thang's gun had been connected to JB's murder through the ballistic evidence, Crime Stoppers Michigan would also put out a $2,500 reward for any info leading to the arrest of her killer. A very interesting move for the Detroit police to seek information when they already had the gun and a man in custody, with this likely indicating that they were seeking out more people involved in the conspiracy beyond Wu-Thang. Behind the scenes, law enforcement were likely already convinced that they had the shooter. In an affidavit written by an FBI agent working for the Detroit field office, he would provide evidence to the court in Chicago as to why Wu-Thang should be extradited to Michigan to face charges. Besides connecting the gun that Wu-Thang had been arrested with to JB's murder, investigators had also uncovered further evidence tying him to the crime. Most notably, when the Chicago police would arrest him on the 19th of October 2019, he was sitting with a female friend in a car parked in an alley in the middle of 600's hood, and this car would turn out to be a blue Nissan Versa stolen from Hertz, which matched the very car allegedly used in the killing of JB. This car was first recorded in New Buffalo, Michigan, traveling eastbound a day before the murder, and then recorded in Benton Harbor, Michigan the following night, traveling westbound about 2.5 hours after the murder of JB. Wu-Thang's alleged phone would also show him traveling to Detroit and then staying near the murder location for approximately 2 hours before traveling immediately after the murder westbound on the I-94, connecting to cell towers near the Benton Harbor about 2.5 hours later. This 2-hour campout before the murder being one of the most strange and damning details, which has convinced many that there's much more to the story, something even even more eerie is that on his joint album with T Grizzley, Blooders from 2017, Lil Durk rapped about his gang doing this very practice, claiming to have his young shooters park outside their enemies' homes to wait for them and get them, a chilling coincidence. During Wu-Tang's detention hearing in Chicago on November the 13th, 2020, he would try to deny being the person that Michigan authorities were looking for, despite the name and birthday matching, while also claiming that he himself had been shot on the 6th of August 2019 and was therefore on bed rest when the murder happened. Wu-Tang would plead with the judge to let him out on bond so he could take care of his sick mother, but the judge found the evidence presented in the FBI's affidavit to be very strong, and he would keep Wu-Tang locked up until a possible extradition to Michigan, which would indeed take place soon after, although surprisingly the federal case in Michigan would only charge him with being a felon in possession of a firearm, not the murder of JB that they had been providing evidence for in their extradition packet.
Your Honor, calling case number 20-20598, the United States of America versus Jermaine Whedon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. William Sloan on behalf of the United States.
Okay, Mr. Whedon, can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Whedon, you're here for an arraignment on an indictment. This is actually your first appearance on an indictment that charges you with being a felon in possession of a firearm.
However, after sitting for about a year behind bars in Michigan, the feds would suddenly seek dismissal of the indictment, as in October 2021, the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office would hit him with state charges, including the first-degree murder of JB. During the following years, this case would silently carry on, as seemingly nobody in the media or online would pick up on it and connect it to T Grizzley, while T himself would keep paying tribute to JB publicly, even getting a huge diamond chain made with her initials. And despite losing his beloved manager, following JB's passing, T Grizzley's career would hit overdrive, as he would seemingly go from win to win, both on the music side and in his new business ventures of gaming and streaming, where he would end up creating an empire worth millions of dollars. Back in the real world, after his music career had cooled down somewhat, soon the streets would be scorching, as in 2025 the world would wake up to the shocking revelation that T's aunt JB had allegedly been killed by a 600 member with close ties to T Grizzley himself, ties that he'd maintained for 6 years after that murder. In March 2025, pictures of Wu-Tang in court would circulate on the Chiracology subreddit. At this time, it seemed that people were clueless about what this case was really about, but people managed to piece together that this was a Detroit courtroom. And then, in July 2025, the silence around Wu-Tang's alleged involvement in JB's murder would finally come to an end, when the state trial against him would officially begin, and the media and online sleuths would finally catch wind of the story. This would set social media on fire, as communities dedicated to following the gang wars in both Chicago and Detroit would go crazy on Reddit. Many were in disbelief that the killer could have come from 600 when T Grizzley had such close relationships with members of the gang, and people instantly felt that this was not random and there had to be more to the story. Many believed that there was more going on beneath the surface, and details and speculations would circulate fast. An early source on the subject was No Jumper host Poetic Flacco, reporting on the trial and rumors that T Grizzley had enlisted the help of Chicago hitters to murder his aunt and manager.
And the conspiracy that I'm referring to is the conspiracy that T Grizzley enlisted the help of Chicago dudes that he knew to murder his aunt Jabina Brown, who he impregnated to make that scandal go away and to retain back his masters from her.
Poetic Flacco pointed out that after JB's murder, T's ties to 600 and OTF only grew stronger.
OTF or 600 couldn't have backdoored T Grizzley because the killer of T Grizzley, Wu-Tang, was arrested in 2019. T Grizzley did a joint album with Lil Durk. In 2024, T Grizzley made Buka 600 right-hand mans with the killer Wu-Tang his groomsmen for his wedding. So T Grizzley was becoming closer, like probably closer than ever, with the alleged parties that murdered his auntie.
Flacco also poked holes in T's story that the killers were after him and mistakenly shot JB, questioning that evidence, suggesting that Wu-Tang had been waiting at the crime scene.
When he exited out of the vehicle, he went to the side porch to get let in. The killers couldn't see he was at the side porch, but they knew what side of the vehicle he was in. So when the killers seen the vehicle was parked, they went to the vehicle and opened up the side of the vehicle that T Grizzley was sitting in before he exited out. They opened it up and began to shoot at the auntie because they thought the auntie was him, because they thought he was sitting there. Only reason why they would know that T Grizzley was sitting on that specific side was because they seen T Grizzley get in the vehicle on that particular side and they followed him to the location. The cell phone towers pinged Wu-Tang's cell phone at the murder scene for more than 1 hour and 56 minutes. So it started pinging around 7 p.m. and continued pinging until 8:56 p.m., which is minutes before the shooting occurred. That means that Wu-Tang was at the murder scene for an hour and 56 minutes.
Some believe that T had murdered his auntie to get out of a music contract. Others suggested that T Grizzley actually awarded this contract to 600 members because he liked them so much and wanted to prove his own street loyalties to the gang. Many also pointed towards his numerous social media posts made while she was still alive, calling her the perfect manager, mentioning how if she died, he would die along with her, and how he would never let nobody on this planet touch her. They pointed to the promises made on JB's tribute song Satish about T Grizzley saying he was putting up $1 million bounty in exchange for revenge. But even more crazy was the disturbing realization that years before, the rumor that Grizzley had backdoored his aunt and manager had actually already been floating around Reddit in plain sight. One rumor floating around didn't call out Wu-Tang, but instead implicated Booker 600. Even earlier than that, in 2022, when photos of T Grizzley throwing up 600 were being posted on Chiracology, one Reddit user would allege that 600 had already done a couple of hits in Detroit for T Grizzley. With the recent news that 600 Wu-Tang was on trial for the murder of JB, the same Reddit user commented that T is actually known for getting people whacked, doubling down on the allegation that this wasn't the only hit that 600 did for him in Detroit. Now, as people would begin to grasp the unexpected connection between T Grizzley and JB's alleged killer Wu-Tang through his affiliated crews like 600, online sleuths were quick to dig up old posts, like one from Booker 600 from February 2024 that included a photo of Booker and T together, along with an interesting caption that read, "We can't erase the past, so F it. We're rolling with it, #bond guaranteed," to which T himself would reply with the fingers crossed emojis. T Grizzley himself would soon respond to rumors, calling them pure nonsense.
I just ain't about to go around trying to clear no, because it is what it is. As far as like, you know, I ain't about to be. You can't entertain, bro, especially when it's absolutely nonsense. You see what I'm saying? But you do got a lot of motherfuckers though that go to the internet and think that everything they see is facts. It's not a place for facts.
However, just like his earlier interview with Big Dog Blast, this wasn't convincing, and this would do little to stop the spread of even wilder rumors. One of these being that T had actually gotten JB pregnant while being happily together with his long-term girlfriend and now wife, with some commenters being quick to remind everybody that JB wasn't actually his auntie by blood, this theory providing a truly sinister possible motive for the alleged murder. However, as Wack 100, who is known to have insider sources for numerous high-profile court cases, would note to Cam Capone that JB's autopsy report would allegedly state that she wasn't pregnant at the time of the murder.
You know, what's the motive for that? I can't. You know, they was talking about a baby, but autopsy report says she wasn't pregnant.
Right. Right, that's what I seen too.
However, Wack would also claim during the Adam and Wack show on No Jumper that he and Poetic Flacco had been on the phone with JB's son, who would allegedly confirm that he thought T and JB had been romantically involved.
You know, I know what I know. So the son is solid. The son ain't playing. He got on the phone with me and Flacco and said, "Yo, Wack, I'm a big boy. I know what time it is. I know what was going on." I said, you know what was going on? He said, "Yeah, I know what was going on."
And you took that to mean that they were sleeping together?
Well, you know me. I said, "Well, since you know what was going on, did you know this?" He said, "I absolutely knew that."
About them sleeping together?
That's a fact.
Moreover, Poetic Flacco, who would turn out to be another major provider of alleged insider information about the case, would continue to speak on these rumors publicly on his channel without providing much hard evidence on paper. But what was the most interesting part about the pregnancy rumor was the fact that it was allegedly Wu-Tang's lawyer who would come up with the theory about the pregnancy in the first place, not Reddit, which points to Wu-Tang possibly attempting to throw T Grizzley under the bus if things ended up not going his way.
Now, the rumors that Jobina Brown was pregnant at the time of her death is false. But where those rumors came from makes things so much worse for T Grizzley. The rumors that Jobina Brown was pregnant came from court, and it wasn't a prosecution who put that theory out there. It was the defense. It was Wu-Tang's defense attorney. You see, Wu-Tang is the murder suspect in this trial. Whatever his defense attorney say came from Wu-Tang. See, street dudes is finding creative ways to tell nowadays. They telling through their lawyers, right? They won't get their butt up on that particular stand and point their hand and tell it all, but they gonna tell through their lawyer. The defense attorney, who is responsible for getting Wu-Tang off, he came to court and he says, listen, obviously T Grizzley put the hit out on Jobina Brown. He said that in court. The transcripts will prove it.
Wack 100, who would vouch for Flacco's information being legitimate, would also point this out during the Adam and Wack show on No Jumper, emphasizing that if the defense's plan of getting the phone evidence thrown out wouldn't work, there was a strong chance of Wu-Tang flipping on T Grizzly.
I heard about that, but I heard that Flacco is being accused by some other YouTubers of basically spreading fake news, and
that's cap.
So he's keeping it real.
Everything he's saying is real. It's coming from the horse's mouth.
So you think T Grizzly is going to go to prison for killing his own aunt, for getting his aunt killed?
We knew 2-3 days ago. It's on my phone. I can show you. That what was said in court, and when the defense, not the DA, if you're my attorney, right?
Yeah.
I'm in there for a body, right?
All right.
And you get up and say, my client Wack 100 didn't do nothing. This is a case where this guy did a murder for hire. The DA, when they say it, they get it from the detectives and the investigators.
Okay.
The defense attorney can only get it from who? Your client, right? So if the client is on trial for murder and he's telling the attorney these things, it's a strong possibility they letting the DA know, hey bro, before we get to the end of this, if it ain't going our way, if we can't get this cell phone thrown out, because that's what they trying to do. The cell phone puts the guy in the area an hour to 2 hours prior to.
Flacco, on the other hand, would also point out that based on the driver's testimony during the trial, the way T Grizzly's car had been parked on the street in relation to the side porch where T had been located at the time of the shooting meant that the shooter would have been able to see him when approaching the rear door, making it less likely that T was in fact the intended target.
The driver who was in the vehicle when Jobina Brown was shot and killed, he testified that the shooting took place 45 seconds from when T Grizzly got out the vehicle. What that shows is T Grizzly was on that porch. That shows that there's a high likelihood that the shooters seen T Grizzly, because from how the car is positioned in a picture of the house, if you're walking up to the back driver's side and you're opening it up, you can see over the car. Like, you can see the porch from that angle, and you'll be able to see a 6'3", 350-pound T Grizzly. You can't miss him. So if he was the target, you'll be able to see him. He was not the target. It doesn't make sense that he is the target.
Flacco would even claim to have inside sources telling him when Grizzly had first told them about what happened to JB, he had sounded like someone who was faking their emotions.
Now, someone who hopped on the phone with T Grizzly, someone who talked to T Grizzly after the incident and was told by T Grizzly what happened, I asked, yo, how did T Grizzly sound? Like, was he like emotional? The words that I was told verbatim, it felt like he was trying to fake emotions. It felt like he was trying to kind of draw up something. Like, he was trying to sound like he was distraught. The person told me, bro, I can't really explain it, they said. It just felt like he was trying to come across as if it was this and it was not.
Another loose end which ended up getting more attention around this time was Sada Baby's response to the death of JB, who was also managing him at the time. As we already discussed earlier in the video, Sada Baby was signed to T Grizzly and JB at the time of her death. Sada Baby emerged as a prominent figure in the Detroit underground rap scene during the mid-2010s, raised on the east side of Detroit, Michigan, and affiliated with the 50 Zone, aka 50Z, a gang with direct ties to the Campanella Park Pyrus in Compton. In 2017, he signed to T Grizzly's label Grizzly Gang, and alongside T, he would also be managed by his aunt Jobina Brown.
Our manager now, JB, she was like, they wanted to work with me. They just was like, she said she had to put all of her focus into helping his career start off, and when she had the time, she really would want me to be around. So I kept myself available, you feel me, just to see how serious it was, and we ended up doing the paperwork like the day of T releasing My Moment.
He would release his first major hit, Block Party, featuring fellow Detroit rapper Drago under the label, which currently sits at over 100 million views. And despite this initial success, rumors of tensions between Sada Baby and T Grizzly surfaced the same year. The reasons remained vague, however it was reported that Jobina had been attempting to mend the relationship prior to her passing, but following her death, any semblance of a relationship between the two completely broke down. Sada would end up buying himself out of his deal with Grizzly Gang, a deal that in his words left a bitter taste in his mouth, as he felt T had essentially locked him into highly unfavorable terms. He would let fans know that he was not just signed to Grizzly Gang anymore just 3 months after Jobina's death.
Cause I think can't nobody with me. I just been in a situation for 2 years where I thought people had the best interest for me and they didn't. You feel me? So now that I'm basically back at square one and get the chance to really do my 1-2 how I want to do my 1-2, and that's why I was dropping all them videos recently, because I couldn't drop all year. Signed to Asylum only. I'm not Grizzly Gang no more.
Later revealing that he had barely seen any money from his 2018 hit Block Party.
Now this record has 65 million views, right?
Yeah.
Why is it gold yet?
I don't know what it is, man. That's a record that will forever be tainted and f***ed up because the people I was signed to was duffing my money, stealing that shit, taking it, whatever the f*** you want to call it. I didn't even see how much money that song made. Like I could put an estimation on how much I didn't see, you feel me? But who knows, you feel me? Like this shit was like that.
And interestingly, Sada Baby would refuse to speak ill of his recently deceased manager Jabina Brown or about the role that she played in him inking the deal with Grizzly Gang.
I never really spent too much time dwelling on him, you feel me? And I can't really do nothing about having feeling a certain towards way about my manager, because she did, you feel me? And that's a whole nother situation. So.
But people in the comments were quick to point out that he needed new management. An interesting point when you consider the rumor that perhaps the motive for T Grizzly taking out JB might have been her involvement in the ownership of T Grizzly's music too. Despite these speculations, Sada Baby and Jabina were extremely close, and her death would hit him very hard, with him discussing the incident in a Vlad TV interview being notable for the fact he appeared to show a lot more emotion about the issue than T Grizzly himself, as well as refusing to speculate on who did it, unlike T Grizzly. Although given the recent revelations, theories have also circulated that the beef between the two could have been about something much deeper than just money. Recent commenters suggest that Sada didn't mess with T Grizzly because he knew that T was somehow involved in the murder. Moreover, Poetic Flacco would claim that Sada Baby himself had confronted T Grizzly after Jabina's murder, asking him if he had anything to do with it.
I was told, but like Sada Baby was looking at T Grizzly a little crazy. The Sada Baby actually looked T Grizzly in his eyes and told him, "Hey, bruh, tell me you don't got nothing to do with this." That even Sada Baby wanted T Grizzly to know, "Hey, bruh, tell me you got nothing to do with this, man." And that T Grizzly gave his word to Sada Baby that he ain't had nothing to do with this.
The animosity between them would continue to grow.
Grizzly neither. He a bitch. Turn that T Grizzly off, dog. I can't. Cam, you thought I wasn't gonna tell him turn him off? That bitch. No, Zeke 1K, we not bumping T Grizzly.
Sada would even ban T Grizzly from the city, warning that if he got caught, he would get deflated.
Yeah, hey, look, I ain't gonna say anything, but y'all write in the comments, yeah, he can't come back. Talking about when I'm coming back. Can't come back. Get caught around his, get deflated.
However, in 2023, they would seemingly settle their differences with the help of the rapper Skilla Baby getting back on cordial terms.
What's that like for you to put that behind you, bro?
I feel good, man. Feel real good. Just like it's long overdue. Whatever I wanted to harbor my anger about was I felt like I had the right to be mad about for a long time, but in the same token, it was hindering the progress of mother around me. And bro, it's time to get some money.
Finally, in early August, a major news would break, as it turned out that despite the seemingly strong case against Wu-Tang, the trial against him ended up in a hung jury, meaning the jury failed to reach a unanimous decision. Once again, Poetic Flacco would be one of the first to break the news, while coming out with some more exclusive information about the factors that likely led to the jury's verdict. One of these being the evidence that Wu-Tang had in fact been shot in the weeks leading up to JB's murder, and according to his brother who would testify during the trial, Wu had been in such bad shape afterwards that he couldn't have pulled off the murder plot.
But here's how exactly he beat it. Not beat it, but the hung jury, you know what I mean, right? Anything other than guilty in my eyes is a beat it for now. So his lawyer brought his brother to testify, and they brought medical records. So he got shot August 6th. Wu-Tang. He got shot August 6th, and he was in the hospital until August 15th. When he left the hospital, we don't know what his condition is, but his brother testified that when he left the hospital August 15th, that he could barely walk, that he was in horrible shape, that when he left the hospital August 15th, He was disabled.
The shooting of Wu-Thang had allegedly taken place on the 6th of August, exactly 2 weeks before the murder of JB on the 20th, while on the 15th, when Wu had left the hospital, he was allegedly barely able to walk. But interestingly, Wu-Thang still has an Instagram highlight on his page, posted on the 4th of September, almost exactly 2 weeks after the murder, where someone, supposedly Wu-Thang himself, can be seen walking without any problems while showing off a big stack of cash in his pocket, meaning that in just 2 weeks he had supposedly gone from completely handicapped to walking around without a care in the world. But still, as Flacco would argue, the medical reports may have been enough to plant a seed of doubt in the jury's mind.
But I think the jury had a hard time reading the medical reports. Oh, okay, he got shot on August 15th. Now, the thing is, we don't even know how severe it was. We just know he was in the hospital until August 15th, but we don't know how severe the injury really was. So the jury is looking at the medical report, looking at the brother testimony, that when he was released from the hospital August 15th, he could barely walk. So the jury is like, man, we having a hard time deciding if he could barely walk August 15th, then to say that he committed this murder August 20th, it's a reach and it's a stretch.
Moreover, as Flacco would also point out, besides the gun, car, and telephone data connecting Wu-Thang to the murder, there's no evidence that he was acting alone, and he might as well have just been the getaway driver rather than the actual shooter.
Because he was found with the murder weapon, he was found with the getaway vehicle, and his phone was pinged in the vicinity for 2 hours. But to say that he did this by himself is a stretch. It's a big stretch.
But whatever the case, there's still rampant speculation about Wu-Thang being involved, and T's relationship with those affiliated with his aunt and manager's suspected shooter have only grown stronger over the years. Now, I want to make this definitively clear. There is currently zero solid evidence of T Grizzley having anything to do with his aunt's death. And yes, it looks bad, very bad. But the reality is, the majority of the evidence connecting T Grizzley to the murder himself is still pure speculation, conspiracy theories, and social media chatter. I'm a big fan of Poetic Flacco's reporting, but it seems that a lot of his theories are based on hearsay and private conversations with people who don't seem confident enough to share these theories publicly. Now, it's certainly possible that T Grizzley could have been involved, and perhaps if there's another trial for Wu-Thang, we may well see people attempt to put the blame on T Grizzley. But there's even a strong possibility that Wu-Thang is actually telling the truth too, and that he might have been too injured to have played a part in this murder. However, other evidence makes things look incredibly bad for him. Sadly, in the modern day of social media investigating, many people are quick to make a judgment before the courts do. But who can blame them, when nowadays social media moves at a breakneck speed, while the wheels of justice still spin as slowly as they ever did decades before the internet. Now, I for one have always been a huge fan of T Grizzley's music, as well as the music of many of the members of 600, but today there remains a lot of unanswered questions, and unfortunately, this puts a dark shadow over T Grizzley's career. Now, I truly hope that we can find the truth soon, and either T Grizzley can clear his name, or that JB's family and friends can finally get the justice they deserve. But most importantly, I hope that as time passes, we get to the facts and the truth of the matter. Because in spite of all the speculation, this is clearly a mysterious murder that is miles away from being truly solved. Now, I have no doubt that eventually the facts will come out, and JB's family will finally get the answers they need. I hope you found this deep dive useful. Thank you for watching.